Days of Our Lives, spoilers reveal that Belle Black will slam Philip Kiriakis' bogus attacker story and question why he's saving Xander Kiriakis from prison. Let's talk about Philip's big lie and how it'll affect the story moving forward. Xander was worried that Philip would rat him out as soon as he woke up. In fact, Xander was so concerned that he slipped into Philip's hospital room with a plan to silence him for good. However, Days spoilers say Philip will wake up at exactly the right time and catch Xander before he can snuff him out with that pillow. It'll give Philip a chance to take control of the situation, but he'll do it in a surprising way. Instead of screaming for help and confirming Xander is the guilty party, Philip will soon have another plan in mind. According to Days spoilers, Philip will cover for Xander and claim someone else was behind his attack. It's possible this will be Philip's attempt at an olive branch, since Victor Kiriakis wouldn't want any more family drama. Of course, it's also possible Philip will demand some perks in exchange for his silence. Philip might push Xander to resign from Titan permanently, giving Philip the sole CEO gig that he wanted in the beginning. Whatever the case, Days spoilers say Philip will raise plenty of suspicions when he insists Xander was not his attacker. Belle will be especially baffled and frustrated over Philip giving the cops a story that's obviously false. When Belle questions Philip at his bedside and demands to know why he's covering for Xander, Philip will dig his heels in on this. Duel's weekly preview video shows Philip standing by his phony claims, so Belle won't be able to send Xander to the slammer like she was hoping. Days of Our Lives, spoilers say Xander will avoid prison, so stay tuned for updates on Sarah Kiriakis' reaction to that news during the week of June 16 to 20. After a week of emotional farewells to John Black, Days of Our Lives, viewers will lose two more favorites as Beau and Hope start their new lives. But never fear, because even as Salem loses two beloved citizens, it prepares to welcome a newcomer in the form of Sophia's baby. Check out the video below for more, including how something as simple as a nap just might lead to the truth about EJ's shooting. It's that time of year. Graduations are happening nationwide, so why should Salem be any different? Kat gets a surprise when her brother Aaron comes home for the big event, but Tate's the one who's in for a real shock as Sophia goes into labor at the worst time possible. You know what Salem is also celebrating this week? Juneteenth! So why does Chanel appear so bummed out? Maybe because there is still that lingering issue that Johnny may have shot his father? The shooting seems to trouble young Rachel as well. It's a good thing her grandma, and the world's best psychiatrist, Dr. Marlena Evans, is on hand when the young girl has a nightmare. Meanwhile, Belle is as surprised as us when Philip, fresh from his coma, insists that Xander wasn't the one who attacked him. Is he lying to protect Xander for some reason? Or did he suffer the kind of brain damage which can impact one's memory? Might he wind up pointing the finger at someone else? Finally, after a miraculous recovery and romantic reunion, it's time for Beau and Hope to set sail on their next adventure. However, it's not goodbye. It's till next time. We have the latest Days of Our Lives spoilers from Monday, June 16th to Friday, June 20th. Xander is caught in Philip's room, Javi listens to Gabby's offer, and key moments in young Tom and Alice's lives are revealed. Plus, EJ finds out what Brady's learned. Read on for that and more ahead in Salem, Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Monday, June 16th. Steve reminisces with his family and friends. Stephen Nicholson's 40th anniversary. Stephanie reassures an anxious Alex. Jennifer surprises Jack. Philip catches Xander in his hospital room. Want more details about this week's episodes? Check out the latest video preview here. Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Tuesday, June 17th. Gabby makes Javi an offer. Doug III asks Leo for help. Chad apologizes to Kat. Tate and Holly reflect Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Wednesday, June 18th. Beau and Hope make plans for the future. Pivotal moments in the lives of young Tom and Alice Horton are revealed. Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Thursday, June 19th. Xander makes his intentions clear to Sarah. Philip sticks to his story. Belle comforts Marlena. Chanel leans on Paulina. EJ is straightforward with Johnny. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, June 20th. Brady fills EJ in on what he's learned. Chanel opens up to Abe and Paulina. Marlena sees Sarah for a checkup. Holly, Tate, Aaron, and Sophia share their last moments as high schoolers. Days of Our Lives spoilers and updates reveal Anna DiMera made her comeback to Salem last week alongside her husband, Tony DiMera. However, he did not appear on screen. Penghlis shared on social media the air date for his return to Duol and hinted at an intriguing storyline. John Black was a central figure in storylines for many years on Days of Our Lives. Therefore, it is only appropriate that the soap has dedicated the past month to leading up to his demise after Drake Hogestyn, who portrayed John since 1986, passed away in September 2024. Since recasting the role was not a viable option, the soap opera chose, with Drake Hogestyn's consent, to eliminate the character. John Black met his end as a hero. He sustained injuries in an explosion while trying to secure life-saving medication for a comatose Beau Brady, and ultimately succumbed to his injuries just as Beau awakened from his coma. This week, friends and family of the town's hero came together to honor him at a funeral and wake held at the Brady pub. The Peacock soap has brought back several members of John's family, such as Carrie Brady and Will Horton. However, one family member who did not return is John's stepdaughter, Sammy Brady, as her youngest daughter, Sydney DiMera, is dealing with an injury. John Black has always been a significant figure on Days of Our Lives, as has his ongoing rivalry with one particular family, the DiMeras. In July 2024, Days of Our Lives underwent a change in head writers. However, since the show films well in advance, the content from the new head writers only began to air in April 2025. Paula Quickly and Jan-Marie Ford have committed to shifting away from supernatural plots to concentrate on family narratives. This shift includes the DiMera family. Tony DiMera, one of the offspring of Duol's antagonist Stefano DiMera, remarried his former wife, Anna, in 2008. They have been absent from the daytime soap for some time. However, they are making a comeback. Leanne Hunley and Penghlis are part of the cast returning to celebrate the soap's 60th anniversary this year. Thio's first appearance will be soon. Last week, Anna encountered Marlena Evans at the hospital and expressed her sympathies. However, there was no indication of her husband, Tony. Penghlis had left the show unexpectedly last year due to a lack of storyline. Nevertheless, he has kept the possibility of a future return open. The actor took to Instagram to announce when fans can anticipate Tony's return to television and mentioned that Tony will appear on Friday, June 20th. Fans are excited about the return of Tony and Anna, but they have been absent for some time and are not currently part of any storylines. However, that is a seed to change. Penghlis hinted in a recent social media post that Tony will encounter new characters. It's a fascinating narrative with players I haven't worked with previously. But what a chess game we find ourselves in. Who might emerge as the winner? Chess was a beloved pastime of his father. Could this new plot revolve around Stefano DiMera? Don't miss Duel on Peacock weekdays to discover what's in store for Tony and Anna, Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Monday, June 16th promise some interesting moments as another week in Salem kicks off. An actor and character celebrate a major milestone while someone tries to reassure a loved one, and two individuals get a massive surprise. What's set to unravel on Monday's show? Time to find out. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Monday, June 16th imply that Steve Johnson will reminisce about his time in Salem with family, friends, and loved ones. Steve and actor Stephen Nichols are celebrating 40 years on the Peacock soap, so fans should brace for plenty of fun flashbacks and nice memories over the years where Patch is concerned. Across town, Steve's daughter, Stephanie Johnson, will reassure a very anxious Alex Kyriakis. Read this. Days of Our Lives spoilers. Icy reunion. Marlena blames Hope for John's passing. Could this be about losing her manuscript, or is this about something else? During the Friday, June 13th episode, Kate Roberts Brady let Alex know that she lost his manuscript, which was Stephanie's. It sounds like she won't be overly upset, which is good news. But what happens next between these two? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Lastly, Days of Our Lives spoilers for Monday note that Jennifer Devereaux will surprise Jack Devereaux. What could this be about? Is it something romantic, or could it be linked to his brother Steve and his 40-year milestone? Speaking of surprises, Philip Kiriakis will get one, but not a very good one at that. Added teasers suggest that Philip will catch Xander Kiriakis in his hospital room. And since Xandy was behind beating his brother to an inch of his life, Philip will likely be scared to death to see him there. Will Xander do anything to jeopardize Philip's recovery? Will anyone be around to save him? Only time will tell. Are you excited about Monday's show? Join the conversation below. Watch your favorite soap on Peacock Daily, and check out SOS regularly for the hottest Days of Our Lives news and spoilers. Days of Our Lives' Beau and Hope have a long and complicated history as a couple. Read on to find out the trials and tribulations the couple have faced. 1983. After spending months exchanging flirtatious glances and banter with Beau, Hope finally invited him to accompany her to her 18th birthday celebration, and he agreed. The evening turned romantic as they shared a slow dance to "Tonight I Celebrate My Love for You." However, things took a turn when Hope brushed off Beau's heartfelt present, a vintage poetry book. Offended, Beau left in frustration. Ignoring Doug and Julie's objections, Hope went to Beau's apartment to smooth things over. The two reconciled with a kiss, and Beau confessed that he was in love with her. They came close to taking their relationship to the next level, until Hope's father walked in and brought the night to an abrupt end. 1984. In an effort to keep Hope safe while secretly working on the Salem slasher investigation, Beau pretended to be romantically involved with his friend Diane. Feeling hurt and rejected, Hope turned to the shady Larry, eventually accepting his proposal. On the day of their wedding, Beau, unwilling to lose her, rushed to the ceremony and whisked Hope away, despite her initial resistance. The two rode off on his motorcycle, where Beau revealed the truth behind his actions. Once she understood, Hope let down her guard and embraced him. Beau and Hope's search for a missing prism led them to New Orleans, where their mission quickly turned into a romantic adventure. While staying at the historic Oak Alley plantation, the two found themselves alone and swept up in the charm of the setting. Dressed in vintage attire, they shared a magical evening dancing together. As the night deepened, Beau gently carried Hope upstairs, and it was there that they made love for the very first time. 1985. Beau and Hope were given a fairy tale wedding in England as a thank you from British royalty after they helped capture the dangerous dragon, who had been plotting to assassinate Lady Joanna. Their loved ones traveled overseas to witness the joyous occasion, which nearly ended in tragedy when Emma attempted to murder the couple after the ceremony. Thankfully, Shane intervened just in time, and the newlyweds were able to head off on their honeymoon as planned. 1987. After the heartbreak of a miscarriage, Beau and Hope were thrilled to welcome their son, Sean Douglas. Beau stood faithfully by Hope's side during the delivery, guiding her through it, though he fainted almost immediately afterward from the emotional weight of it all. Soon after, Beau decided it was time to follow a dream he'd held for years. He bought a houseboat, and after saying goodbye to family and friends, he, Hope, and baby Sean left Salem behind to sail around the world together. 1990. 3 years after leaving Salem, Beau and Hope returned, only to find themselves caught up in another dangerous adventure at sea. They were among several people lured onto a ship called the Loretta by the villainous Ernesto, who had a score to settle. The journey, later known as the Cruise of Deception, took a deadly turn when Hope, while searching for Beau in Ernesto's hideout, accidentally ended up in a trap. She became stuck in a cage hanging above a vat of acid. When the cage suddenly exploded, Beau was devastated, believing Hope had died, and was left to mourn the loss of his wife. 1984, Beau was stunned when he came face-to-face with a woman named Gina at Maison Blanche, an amnesiac who looked exactly like his late wife, Hope. Having recently proposed to Billy and convinced that Stefano was behind some cruel trick, Beau refused to accept that Hope could still be alive. Eventually, medical tests confirmed that Gina was, in fact, Hope. Despite the truth, Beau followed through with his marriage to Billy. But it didn't take long for Billy to realize that Beau's heart still belonged to Hope, and she decided to leave town. Beau did everything he could to help her remember who she truly was, but Stefano's control remained strong. While under his influence, Hope ended up sleeping with both Stefano and a drugged John. By the time Beau was finally able to save her, Hope had become pregnant. 2002. After overcoming numerous challenges, including the complicated truth that John was the biological father of their baby son, JT, Beau and Hope found their way back to each other. Their reunion was sealed with a heartfelt wedding on Christmas Eve, where they declared their love in front of family and friends, promising that nothing would ever come between them again. JT's diagnosis of fetal alcohol syndrome eventually uncovered a startling secret. He was not biologically the child of either Hope or John. It was revealed that Stefano had orchestrated a baby swap. Abe and Lexi were actually raising Hope's biological daughter, while Beau and Hope had been caring for the child of the late Marlo and Glenn Reiber. Despite fighting hard in court, Beau and Hope ultimately lost custody of JT and had to give him up to his biological father. With heavy hearts, Beau, Hope, and Sean said a painful farewell to the little boy they had cared for since he was born. Thankfully, Glenn and his wife Barb assured them that the Brady family would always remain a part of JT's life. After Abe gave up custody of Isaac to Beau and Hope, the couple renamed the boy Zach and began their new life together. However, Hope started experiencing sudden memories that made her suspect Beau might actually be Zach's biological father. DNA testing confirmed her suspicions. It turned out that while both were under Stefano's control, Beau and Hope had conceived a son, an event neither of them remembered at the time. 2004, Beau and Hope reconnect on the mysterious island of Melaswin, where they were reunited. Afterwards, the couple navigated high tensions, including Beau's jealousy of Patrick and a case of mistaken identity. Ultimately, Patrick's manipulative actions led to Beau and Hope's separation, and Hope's belief that Patrick was the father of her baby. 2006. Beau's daughter, Chelsea, tragically causes Zach's death in a car accident. In 2008, Chelsea donates part of her pancreas to save Beau. That same year, Beau and Hope renew their vows. 2010. Difficulties arise. Hope is arrested, and Beau briefly romances Carly, but eventually realizes his lasting love for Hope. 2012. Beau leaves Salem with his mother Caroline to seek treatment. Hope files for divorce in 2014 after hearing nothing from him. 2015. Beau reappears just in time to rescue Hope from Aiden Jennings, who tries to kill her at their wedding. Soon after, Beau is diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. On November 20th, 2015, he dies in Hope's arms in their meeting park as snow begins to fall. 2016. Beau appears as a vision or in Hope's dreams, guiding her after life-altering events. 2022. In a beautifully staged sequence, Hope appears to die momentarily and meets Beau in heaven. They dance, share intimate reflections on their life together, and decide she should return to Earth with a second chance pass. In the finale, it's revealed that Megan Hathaway kept Beau cryogenically frozen and used magical prisms to cure his brain tumor and resurrect him. The series ends with Beau's dramatic awakening, eyes opening in a laboratory setting. 2023. During a tense and dramatic confrontation, Beau threatened Hope with a gun. In an attempt to protect his mother, their son Sean accidentally shot Beau. As a result, Beau fell into a coma, and Hope took on the difficult role of caring for him at a specialized clinic. 2025. The couple are back with Beau still lingering in a coma. As Beau, comatose, begins deteriorating due to sepsis, Dr. Russell is experimenting with a new drug not yet approved for humans. Sean and Steve attempt to procure the drug, potentially stealing it, to save him. John procured it after the lab exploded, but that left him critically injured and he died. Beau received the antidote and awakens from his coma. John's funeral was the main push of the week, with Friday's Days of Our Lives episode showing progression on some of the other subplots. The funeral was a big deal and was incredibly sad. There were quite a few flashbacks, too numerous to add in this article, but what I will do this week is show everyone who got up to share words about John. Eric presided over the funeral, which was totally appropriate considering he used to be a priest, and many of John's family and friends reminisced about Salem's greatest hero. Hope eventually had to break the news to Beau in a heart-wrenching scene, And after some cajoling, he talked her into taking him to the funeral. That was wonderful, and he had a nice reunion with Marlena. Hopefully, Beau and Hope will stay on the show for longer than a few episodes. Of course, the week ended with Xander in Philip's hospital room, grabbing a pillow and saying, "Don't worry, this will all be over before you know it." Then it looked like he was going to smother him. Oh, the horror! Why is Xander spiraling into such a dark place? If he continues his murderous ways, he'll end up in prison and off the show. Kat happened to walk by Shane at the funeral, and in a low voice, she surreptitiously acknowledged his presence by saying, "Director?" But she kept walking, and they didn't converse. So that means she's an ICE agent. How cool is that? Her character suddenly became infinitely more interesting. This would likely explain why she was so comfortable with skydiving. Chad had previously asked her how many times she'd been, and she didn't really answer, except to say that it had been a few times. Does her being a spy mean there's a different reason why Abigail's body was missing? Mickey Mantle was referenced as one of John's favorite baseball players. Mantle was a professional baseball player who mainly played center field and was considered one of the best hitters and players of all time. His entire career was playing for the New York Yankees from 1951 to 1968. When Belle got up to speak at John's funeral, one of the things she said was, "And I'm sure you all know that my dad has had a lot of big, epic moments, where he was faster than a speeding bullet or leaping tall buildings in a single bound." That, of course, is a quote from the opening title sequence to the TV show The Adventures of Superman, which ran from 1952 to 1958. In it, the announcer states, "Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound." Then it goes on where we hear citizens saying, "Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman." At the funeral, Marlena read a poem. "This is the true season of love, when we believe that we alone can love, that no one could ever have loved so before us, and that no one will love in the same way after us." That's from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a German poet who lived in the late 1700s to early 1800s and was part of a collection of his works that was titled Goethe's Opinions on the World, Mankind, Literature, Science, and Art. Hope had a flashback to a time when Beau was dressed in a Civil War-era suit, and Hope approached him after removing a hood from her head, also dressed similarly. She said, "Rhett? Captain Butler." He turned and looked in astonishment, asking, "Hope?" She responded, "Not Hope. It's your very own Scarlet," which was a reference to the iconic and classic Hollywood film Gone with the Wind from 1939, starring Clark Gable as Rhett Butler and Vivian Leigh as Scarlett O'Hara. Eric began the eulogy and officiated the proceedings. Steve brought many of John's memorabilia and placed them on a table next to his cremated remains. Several people couldn't make it, including Sammy, Sydney, and John's dad, Timothy Robichaud, who was played by the venerable icon Dick Van Dyke. It was explained that he had surgery the day before the funeral. Eric's words and the passages he read were moving and talked about several qualities John had, including devotion, courage, and love. Brady then got up and brought the house to tears singing Amazing Grace. I have to admit, I was surprised at first to hear him sing, and then remembered he's part of the Day Players Band. Shane, Steve, and Abe got up next and led the charge, explaining that each of them represented 3 different phases in John's life. Abe explained that if someone became part of John's circle, they were there for life. Steve noted that John's last act was to save Beau's life, and that it was appropriate considering how courageous he was. Shane contributed the poignant statement, "The world is a safer place because of him." Roman and Kayla spoke after that, and it was brought up that for a few years, John thought he was Roman. Roman explained that when the truth came out, and John had to stop being someone he wasn't, John handled it with the utmost grace. Roman was thankful that John had a wonderful hand in raising his kids. Kayla also explained how John became like a brother to them. Belle got up to talk and said she always felt safest when she was with her father. She recalled some of his heroism, like dropping everything to go save Eric after he poked the hornet's nest known as Stefano. She referred to him as Superman, who could do anything, including be there for her when she simply needed a shoulder to cry on. She also remarked that John was a font of awful dad jokes and made people laugh all the time. Paul spoke next and recalled how he and John bonded over baseball after learning Paul was his son. In a nice, purposely ironic twist, Paul speculated that his dad was a baseball player in a past life, a reference to the fact that Drake Hogestyn had been a professional ball player for a time. Paul lamented that John wouldn't be able to attend his wedding to Andrew. In the end, he looked at John's picture and tearfully said, "I love you, Dad. I can't wait to play another game of baseball with you again." After that, Carrie got up and explained that there was a lot of love growing up in a blended family with John and Marlena. She recalled that when John and Marlena got married in 1999, each of the children brought up a flower to create a family bouquet that symbolized they were all part of a larger garden. As such, all of John's children recreated it at the funeral, with Paul asked to step in for Sammy. Each of the flowers had a different meaning, and we heard John and Marlena's voices from the flashback clip describing what they were. It was very touching and unique. Marlena was at the center of everything, with everyone there in support. She read a lovely poem for John, and we saw several flashbacks illustrating their eternal love. After the flower ceremony, Belle, Carrie, and Brady leaned in to Marlena, perfectly illustrating how her family came together in her time of need. It was sweet and touching, and I defy anyone to say that they got through the week without shedding a tear or two. After the funeral, Marlena, Steve, Roman, Kayla, Shane, and Beau got together to reminisce and decompress. Steve began with a toast to John, stating, "To John Black, without a doubt, the finest man I've ever known." Marlena flashed back to a time when John toasted to his future with her, with Beau and Hope joining in. Many of the quotes this week are from characters who honored John. Brady was consoling Rachel about John's death and said, "Just because we can't see him doesn't mean he won't be with us all the time, 'cause he's gonna be right here. Always." Steve was talking to Kayla about closing down Black Patch and retiring, and she asked what he was going to do with himself after. He responded, "I could do some volunteer work. Maybe I could go down to the park and play my harp, you know? Hey, maybe take some guitar lessons." Steve doesn't actually play the harp. That's a nickname for a harmonica, which he does play. Roman told Steve and Kayla, "Once you got to know that guy, he had your heart." Tate asked Brady if a Christian would be attending John's funeral, and his dad replied, "No. She thought your grandmother, Marlena, might flip out if she came. So in a rare moment of generosity, she stayed at home." During Eric's eulogy, he said, "Heaven is truly rejoicing at the return of one of its favorite sons." Shane had some nice words about John and at one point stated, "We're also much better off from having known him, and the world is a safer place because of him." After the funeral, several of John's closest friends got together at the Brady pub, and Steve poured shots of whiskey for everyone. He then said, "So what do you say we toast the man who on many occasions drank me under the table?" Kayla said she didn't know if she believed that John could drink him under the table, and Steve hilariously replied, "I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or an insult." Roman said to Beau, "Do I have to tell you how surreal it is to have you home?" And Beau responded, "Surreal for you? How about for me?" Hope, Julie, and Jennifer were reminiscing about Beau, and Julie recalled how she had gone to Paris, France, to get Beau to reunite with Hope. Jennifer chimed in with, "Never underestimate the power of Julie Williams." Later, Julie told Hope, "I've always known you were my gift from God. I want you to remember how lucky you are to have him there to annoy you." She was advising her to count her blessings that Beau was back, and lamented the fact that Doug was no longer there to sing the most beautiful girl in the world to her. Kayla bumped into Xander and started giving him the business about beating up Philip. He told her he wasn't in the mood, and she replied, "Oh, really? Facing the consequences for your own actions has made you grumpy?" Sarah told Xander, "If you do go to prison and miss out on your daughter's life, the only person you have to blame is yourself." John's funeral was divided into parts with "To be continued." at the end of them, except, of course, for the last one. This is interesting because I'm not sure if I've ever seen that used on a soap. It was awesome to see Shane Donovan back again. Charles Shaughnessy always does a great job. There were a couple of flashbacks, which I was looking forward to, but Shane himself was only on the screen for a split second. What gives? Xander looks like he's about to smother poor Philip. Is it possible that if he tries it, Phil will wake up? That remains to be seen, but it's likely Philip won't die. Hopefully, when he does wake up, like I mentioned last time, he'll be the magnanimous one and not finger Xander in an effort to finally win over his brother's trust. There was a shot of John's Isa badge among his memorabilia at the funeral. That not only served as a reminder of John's heroic past, but also made me look forward to finding out more about Kat's involvement with the agency. There needs to be a next generation of spies brought onto the canvas. Kat's revelation is a big thing, and hopefully, the show will deliver on more intrigue and espionage involving her. Here is your Days of Our Lives spoilers sneak peek video for the week of June 16th, 2025. Life goes on in Salem this week as new beginnings could lead to a major revelation. Aaron Green is back in Salem to walk with his class at his high school graduation. While Tate and Holly discuss the college choices, Sophia suddenly screams that she is in labor. Aaron looks highly surprised and fascinated by this. Could Sophia be hiding a big secret that's about to be revealed? Philip finally wakes from his coma and looks to be on the mend. Kate couldn't be more relieved, while Belle couldn't be more shocked. When Belle questions Philip about the beating, he swears up and down that Xander is not the culprit. Belle asks Philip why he's lying, but he insists that he is not. We saw Xander beat Philip to within an inch of his life, so we also know that Philip is lying. Is his guilt leading him to cover for Xander? We know Kate won't rest until Xander is behind bars. Marlena is alarmed when she is watching Rachel nap on the couch and hears her granddaughter call out in her sleep, "Don't shoot him!" Will Rachel mention Johnny's name while talking in her sleep? That would alarm Marlena even more because she would know that her grandson is somehow involved. Perhaps Marlena will go to Brady and Kristen and suggest hypnotizing Rachel. It was wonderful to have them back on our screens, but we knew it wasn't going to last long. Bo and Hope decide to live their next chapter away from Salem. Are they going on another sailing adventure around the world, as they did so many years ago? At least they will finally get their long-awaited happily ever after. Since they are also both alive and well, maybe we will get to see them again one day.